plan for a health psychologist. And during that time, you were struggling to make some progress. We know there were some delays. There was the loss of the grants. And of course, inevitably, the IPE expired. When you and I connected, we've only had one meeting at this point. That was just to build rapport. We weren't making any decisions. We were just kind of going over things together. And then, we scheduled for a follow-up in December. And then I know you said you were having some challenges and canceled that appointment. You did mention at that point that you were seeking a new job goal. And then there's been a lot of talk about accommodations, this request for accommodations. But I'm not really clear on what really either those are, your job goal or accommodations, and to whom or for what.
Have you spoken with the ADA coordinator for DVR about the accommodations? So this is something I've already gone over and worked through over the past several years prior to us meeting, and it's something that I kind of thought was resolved. And how it appears to me is that when I begin to start to advocate for myself and request accommodations from DVR, there's a variety of what I view as retaliatory actions on part of DVR in response to that. So that has been severely harmful for me and has been a major impediment for me in accessing services from DVR. And as far as not being able to meet with you our last meeting, that was entirely due to disability. So the reason I'm receiving services from DVR is because I'm disabled. And one of those diagnoses includes a diagnosis of ulcerative colitis, which is severely limiting at times. So there's times where I just can't meet with you because of ulcerative colitis or other limitations due to disability. And I'm also kind of...
Hold on, let's pause right there.
I'm also kind of curious how my IPE plan would have expired, or how that might be an impediment towards funding for what was the goal had become simply to provide funding to help me to graduate.
No, we didn't agree on anything.
This is something that was agreed on before.
Hold on, let me intervene here.
No, before you became my counselor, this was something that was agreed upon. And if
it was agreed upon with a date, an end date, and that end date has expired. So
there shouldn't
you're
be...
not in plan. The plan has expired.
I'm not sure why it would have expired. Why did
because it had an end date.
Well, why wasn't there an extension of that plan?
Because we haven't been able to meet.
Okay, well, there's
canceled last meetings.
Again, I wasn't able to meet due to disability. So you canceled my plan due to disability.
So this is what we need for it to be able to move forward, Scott.
Yeah, we need to arrange accommodations.
For me to be able to support.
Do you have an ADA? Do you have an ADA coordinator?
I'm going to need more information regarding your disability.
Okay.
Because you said that there was some recent changes to your disability of the UC.
Well, you're completely able to request those
accommodations.
Yeah.
We need to understand.
So at times I can't meet with you because I'm on the toilet.
Limitations would have to come from your physician.
Okay, then go ahead and request them.
If you have a gastroenterologist or your physician, who is that?
Who is that? I've already provided releases for.
No, I don't.
You should already know that.
If there is a recent one and updated, because I don't see any names in here of who that person is.
This is information I've already provided you with, and again, this seems more like retaliatory action of slow walking the process.
But that's not what this is. What I'm doing, I'm trying to attain more information from who your physicians are, so I can provide you so you can make some informed decisions based on my counseling, my guidance on how we can navigate this system together.
Okay, what you
That's
just said
all I'm
makes
doing.
no sense at all. So let's
So who's your
backtrack.
physician? Who is your physician?
Which one?
The one that you see for UC.
Dr. Osk.
And he's located where?
And she's located at Swedish.
At Swedish? So
Yeah.
we don't have any release for Swedish.
You
The
do.
last
You do.
release
I've
we
already.
had
Yes, you do.
was University of Washington.
No, you do have a release
No.
for Swedish
I
as
checked
well.
the files. There was nothing there.
I've
So
provided
would
it
you
to
be willing
DVR.
to sign
I
a
sure
new
would.
release for
Yeah.
Swedish?
I would.
Okay. So that's one way that we can help to understand your disability and the limitations around it.
So
So
it's pretty easy for me to
accommodations
explain
can
it.
come later.
It's pretty easy for me to explain it most of the time.
So, no,
So I couldn't. No, I couldn't meet with
sorry,
you
it's
because
not-
I was on the
you can be
toilet.
angry with
I was
me,
on the
but
toilet.
that's okay.
Yeah, it is okay. I was on the toilet.
That's okay. You can get angry.
No, I'm
I
trying to
understand
explain
that.
to you. I
What
was
need
shitting
to
my
know
pants
is
on the
hear
toilet.
this from your
So I couldn't
physician,
meet with you.
what recommendations are to you and help to mitigate some of those symptoms, so that way we know how we can support you forward.
You can
Because
support
this-
me by when I
if
can't
this-
meet
if
with
the
you.
disability
You can support me.
is to-
You can support me by when I can't meet
this
with
is
you due to
also-
shitting
this
my
is
pants on
also
the toilet.
applies
You can understand that.
for
Okay, you can understand it. You can understand that, right? A
Scott,
person on the
you
toilet.
can try to talk over me.
No,
but
I'm
communicating
talking now.
valid
I'm talking
information
now. I am
because
talking
the
now.
next step is that I need from you.
That's fine. Then we
to
can
be
go.
able to move forward.
Able to move forward, I
Is
guess I'm
another
going to have to
assessment.
file a lawsuit against DVR. That's what it seems like
No,
is
I
going to
know.
have to
I
happen.
hear you say that,
Yeah.
Scott.
Yeah, I'm going
But the
to.
next thing that I'm communicating to you is what I need.
Okay, I told you
What
I'd
I
give
need
you a
from you.
release, and I was trying to explain to you the causal nexus between the
Because
accommodation
of
requested.
physical
Yeah, you're just.
and or mental symptoms that may be contributing to your actions, behaviors, or inability.
What you're doing
to
right now
follow
is
through
you're
with
browbeating me
written
into
and
having a
verbal
panic attack.
agreements,
You're
which
causing me to
includes
have a panic
school
attack.
and in
You're
DVR
causing me to have a
engagement.
panic attack.
There are
You're
concerning
causing me to have a panic
behaviors
attack.
that make it
You're causing me to
impossible
have a
continue
panic attack,
VR
lady.
services
You
without
just
obtaining
won't let me talk, will you?
additional medical
What is your
document
deal that you
assessment.
won't let me talk?
So as you know, your plan has expired.
Yeah, okay.
For
Yep.
DVR
mhm.
to support your services moving forward.
It's just going to be
a
discrimination, isn't it?
psychological risk assessment is required.
Okay,
in addition
that's
to
fine.
a signed consent for your gastroenterologist.
Sure, let's do it. Sounds great.
Okay. All right. So to better understand that, the psychological.
Do you understand that I'm having a panic attack right now? Do you acknowledge that?
Is also that's the documented history of behaviors,
A panic
which
attack.
include avoidant, violent, or predatory behaviors.
What are you talking about?
That may
I'm
be
having a
affect
panic
your
attack.
ability to achieve an employment outcome.
What violent or
It's
predatory
these
behaviors? What are you
that
talking
basically
about?
lead me
What
to
are you
believe
talking
that you are at risk
Oh my
to
god.
yourself or others.
What violent or predatory behaviors
so
are
the
you talking
psychological
about?
risk assessment is for the purpose of determining the level
Can-
of risk that you present to
What
yourself
violent or predatory
members of the
behaviors are you
community,
talking about?
or others in an employment situation.
What violent or predatory behaviors are you referring
so
to?
with that, and that's what I just
Can-
went over.
No, you
but
just-
you
you
didn't
just-
hear me, Scott. You've been trying to talk over me.
Have been having a panic attack. I've been trying to tell you that. You've just been talking over me.
And this is why we need to talk about those next steps. Your plan has expired.
The
And
step.
for DVR to be able to support you,
No,
we need to better
what we need to talk
understand
about is how
what
your
we need to
actions
do.
right now, where you won't let me speak, has been causing me to have a severe panic attack. Can we
Oh,
talk about
Scott.
that?
Okay, what would you like to say?
Okay. You mentioned that there were certain violent or predatory behaviors that I had
Yes, in
engaged
the time
in.
that you were, because this is not the first time that VR, the last time Jamie Rasmussen requested a psychological risk assessment.
That's fine, but what behaviors
Based
are you
on
referring
your
to?
evidence of behaviors that go
What-
back clear to 2020.
Okay, can you please
with threats
refer
against
specifically what
previous
you're
DVR staff,
you're just making things.
including supervisors,
What have I done?
other VRCs, and personnel of DVR.
Okay, what?
It's because of this reason your plan that has expired is on hold, and to be able to move forward, we need a psychological risk assessment based on those reasons that I just covered.
That's fine. But you didn't say
Okay.
exact. I'm willing to do a psychological risk assessment. But what seems is really aggravating me is you haven't specified what behaviors I've engaged in that were predatory towards DVR staff, or what could you Could you elaborate a little bit? Because it seems like you're just making vague accusations.
No, I'm not making vague accusations. This all has been documented and it is on file.
Okay, what?
I don't need to go into the details
Yeah, you
of
do.
everything that was
Yeah,
mentioned.
you do.
Okay, then I will.
Okay.
I'll specifically pull up the email dialogue of to go over that, because this is concerning on how we can support you, especially if you're wanting to desire a degree in psychology or criminal justice.
No, I no longer want to. Well, I'm already going to get a degree in psychology. It doesn't really matter what you or DVR does. I don't have any desire for criminal justice, so I'm not sure where that's coming from.
When we were discussing future employment,
yeah, civil rights
made
attorney.
That you would like to go into law.
Civil rights attorney. I never said anything about criminal justice.
You said a legal psychologist, and because there is not a thing called a legal psychologist.
I never said a legal psychologist. I said a health psychologist. You don't even.
That was the old one.
I never.
I'm going.
There's no such thing as a legal psychologist.
Scott, okay. Can I speak? You asked me a question and I'm answering. And every time I answer those questions,
I rebut you. I rebut you is what I do.
So no.
You said I wanted to become a legal psychologist. I never said I wanted to become a legal psychologist.
I tell you what, instead of us going any further, if you're going to continue to speak over me, we'll end this conversation right now. I'll send the letter with the documents for the request for the signature on the consents to move forward, both with the gastroenterologist at Swedish, which we never had on file. The only one we had was UW.
So,
and second of all, the psychological risk assessment.
With Dr. Gray, we would do that with, right?
No, not with Dr. Gray.
Okay.
Dr. Gray does not do the psychological risk assessment.
Okay, who does
It'll be another vendor.
Who's this?
It'll be a new vendor.
So a licensed psychologist?
We'll get more information on that once we get the signed consent.
So I'm willing to do that with a clinical or licensed psychologist,
that's all we do. That's all we do is a clinical psychologist, licensed psychologist.
Sometimes you do it with like a licensed mental health care worker. You don't necessarily need
you have not participated in a psychological risk assessment at this point.
With DVR I haven't, but that's fine. Let's do it. Let's do it.
It's only on the. Can I speak, please?
You are speaking.
Without interruption. When you ask a question and I reply, I expect you to have the common sense to be able to be quiet while I respond.
The common sense?
I don't need you talking over me. Yes.
I think there's a delay with the Zoom thing is what's causing.
No, I don't think so. I think you're very angry, Scott. You're exhibiting those very behaviors.
I'm having a panic attack. It's not necessarily anger.
That is actually one of the concerns that we have with being able to support you, is to better understand. Because if we can't have a dialogue to discuss your case, your symptoms or barriers to engagement and future employment, that is why we're at a standstill right now. And a psychological risk assessment shall be done. And refusal to do so will lead to case closure.
Well, let's do it.
Now, I know. I'm still explaining, though, Scott. But this is all part of the case. This is nothing new. This is nothing personal. This is nothing against you. I know you may perceive that, but before we can provide any sort of reasonable accommodations, we have to better understand what your limitations are and what those recommendations from your physicians have been to mitigate some of those barriers, and what your willingness is to partake in those recommendations to be able to mitigate those barriers before we can even determine what a potential job goal is or how we can support you, or if we will. Because if the results of this are too severe to be able to support the job goal you had in mind, we may have to consider something separate than what your intentions were. So this is why I can't support you in paying for last semester's school. Right now, your whole plan is expired. It expired last year in 2022. Any previous discussion we had was theoretical about possibilities. And I mentioned to you at our first and only appointment that we had that your plan was about to expire. And it since has. Had we had the appointment on December 16th, you would have known that. This is a reschedule from that canceled December 16th appointment. We went over today the status of your case, concerns, information needed, and your options and next steps. You don't have to participate. You don't have to sign any of those, but it will lead to case closure. Those are the options. This psychological risk assessment was previously recommended by VRS, Rasmussen, and you denied it. You and I have had one appointment to discuss possibilities, and I'm following through with her recommendation for a psychological risk assessment based on the many years of evidence that show there is certain patterns here that are concerning, and to best know how to support you in an appropriate job goal with reasonable accommodations once we understand what those barriers are from your medical documents. Because if there has been a recent change in severity in your disability with the UC, then that would be important to know. However, there's another aspect to that, is all the mental health diagnosis and the symptoms that present there with certain limitations that are concerning to if you were to pursue moving forward with a psychology degree or pursue a job goal under that umbrella, working with people. Now, the history of interpersonal barriers that you've had, not only with DVR, but also WSU, those are the reasons why we're sending for a psychological risk assessment, because of the self-proclaimed self-harm to yourself and or to others.
When have I threatened others?
When you threaten to camp outside their house or call them or their children.
I don't think I've ever threatened to call anybody's children.
If you don't understand why that all of that is concerned, Scott, that's why we're moving forward with the psychological risk assessment.
I'm fine with that, but you're making a number of false accusations that are incorrect.
Scott, everything I have said is true. It is based on the evidence that has been gathered.
I think some of the things you've said are demonstrably untrue, but...
Well, that's your opinion. I am gathering data.
No facts.
Data from here. This is nothing personal. As you can see, I have no vested emotion in this. I am communicating to you information gathered in your caseload long before I came a part of this. I'm offering you information so you can make an informed decision based on the DVR process. This is a vocational rehab program. You qualify by having diagnoses. However, your success is dependent on your actions to mitigate those identified barriers to employment. And as you know, it begins with the strong interpersonal barriers. It's your choice whether you choose to follow any recommendations or show any marked improvement. Those are done by assessment. This is an additional assessment to determine where your status is as far as those marked behaviors. Have they improved? Have they worsened? Or are they consistent? Before we can move forward, the goal is to help get you placed successfully in a job goal that's a best fit, so you can attain part-time or full-time employment, permanent employment. And I'm all about doing that, Scott. I want to support you. But as long as you continue these patterns of attacking me and or others, whether it be in a school or learning
I've never attacked you.
Environment.
I've never attacked you. No. I'm not going to let you finish. I've never attacked you.
Then that will create
I've never in any way attacked you.
This behavior
I have never in any way attacked you.
Is not okay. You can continue to talk over me while I'm responding.
I've never attacked you.
To give you a full answer. Okay.
When did I attack you?
So let me pull up information here. And some of the information that you've stated was to yourself for threat or harm to yourself.
When did I attack you? Let's just focus on one false thing you've said. When did I attack you?
Let's not make this about me. I didn't say me.
Yeah, you did. You said I attacked you. You said I attacked you.
If you're going to yell at me or tell me I'm doing you wrong or injustice, that is an attack.
No, it's
so
not.
Here you said
you are. Let's be clear. You are doing me a wrong and injustice.
This is in December.
That's not attacking you. That's protected activity under the Americans with Disabilities Act, is what it is.
Okay. Well, I know what the ADA does. I know Title II. I've done all the training on that. I'm very aware. And yes, I've been in touch with Ms. Tigerson.
So can you just send
I know
me the...
that when you were...
Can you just send me the... I'll send you the authorization for the gastroenterologist.
Hold on. I want to be able to go over this information that you asked to hear before we close out.
Never attacked you in any way, shape, or form. Never attacked anyone at DVR. I've never threatened anyone at DVR. It's this kind of behavior that aggravates my disability to the point where I become a threat to myself. That's what happens multiple times.
That right there, that's the concern right there. This cyclic behavior, and that's exactly what I was pulling up. The emails have been ongoing since 2020 when you were working with the previous counselor.
They were before that.
So I'm talking about your time with DVR.
I've been with DVR since 2014.
If this has been reoccurring, that's the concern. So this is why we're referring out to psychological risk assessment to determine, what level of impact that is to yourself and or others before we can continue forward.
So how about sending me those things to sign, and I'll do that. And other than, I don't know if you're still looking for something.
So here, yeah, there is. It says this was actually more recent. The accusation of you felt that the DVR was trying to intimidate you by informing you that you were reported to the WSU department. It says, I will come to the street where you live. I will camp there and protest. I'll talk to your neighbors and tell them why I'm there. I'll call your family. I'll send letters to your family. I'll send letters to I'll call you.
That's the First Amendment. That's the First Amendment.
So that...
Yeah. You're government employees and I'm protesting. That's the First Amendment. That's not a threat.
That is not... That's stalking. That is
No,
threat.
It's not. Going on the
That's
side...
predatory
no, it's not.
threat.
Protesting on the sidewalk.
So for this reason,
employees...
that right there is why I will be referring you out. So would you prefer to receive those documents through email?
Email's fine, yeah.
Okay. All right. Do you have any other questions, or would you like to discuss anything else?
I can't even think straight at this point. I don't.
Are you engaged with any supports, any therapists at this point?
I was trying to engage with Dr. Gray, but I don't.
You told me last time you were no longer interested in participating in that.
I contacted Dr. Gray.
With Dr. Gray.
Yeah, and she said that you just needed to authorize additional services.
I'm sorry, that was previously, but that is no longer
before I
part of the case. Your case has been expired.
Yeah, before I complained, I know.
No, not before you. Yeah. Your case has expired.
Yeah, I get it.
Your plan is expired,
look, I
Scott.
get it.
That means there are no services in place.
I get it.
And there is evidence here that shows that you stated you will not engage in any services with Dr. Gray. That was your last statement.
Changed my mind.
Well, I was not informed of any of that, even after your plan expired.
I sent you a number of emails. I don't know if you...
I have all those. Yeah. There was nothing in there saying that you were planning on resuming any engagement with a therapist, Scott. Okay. Look, I have all the evidence of what you communicated, and it was very clear. Even as of today, you were not interested in an engagement with any sort of therapy until it was made a mandatory next step.
That's not true, and that's demonstrably untrue. Can I send you an email to show you that that's not true? From Dr. Gray?
You can say that. You can say that's not true.
No, I have an email to prove that it's not true. That's usually what I do, is I document things to where it's beyond dispute.
Scott, you can dispute all you want, but regardless, what I have here is the evidence that I've received from you last stating you were refusing to participate in any mental restorative services.
I just told you I changed my mind and I had contact Dr. Gray.
You did not tell me until right now.
That's true. That's true.
After
that's
we
true.
said the psychological risk assessment
that's
is
fine.
Next up.
But I can prove to you, I just sent you an email showing you that I contacted Dr. Gray a couple weeks ago, and this is something that I was going to discuss during our meeting, but we did not get to that, unfortunately. So, yeah, so there you go. Happy New Year, Scott. We would just need your DVR counselor to reach out and request those services. Warmest regards, Crystal Gray, PhD. So I emailed her.
I see her. Yeah. I know Crystal very well.
So I emailed her on January 1st requesting services.
Your plan was expired by that time,
well,
Scott.
Okay, that's fine. But we just said, okay, at this point you've totally nurse ratcheted me into the point where I can't even think straight or communicate
And I
straight.
will not allow any disrespectful talk towards me. So I'm going to be ending the conversation now.
Okay.
And I'll be sending out those documents.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thank you. Take care, Scott.